That's my biggest mission or goal, is to empower people by illuminating certain truths and to help you find your sovereignty, because that's all you have at the end of the day. You cannot rely on anyone or anything but yourself. So locking down your own ship and creating your own boundaries is the best investment that you can do for yourself.
Okay, friends, welcome to a prequel. This is a two-part podcast with Olivia Steele, my friend, the artist that many of us know, who is just obliterating our lives in disguise by putting messages of positivity in the world through her neon signs in places of nature and in urban environments. The reason for the prequel is that we sat together and went deep in her journey, and I'm looking forward to everybody receiving that, which is the part two. Part one is the elephant in the room, and Olivia very courageously shared on 2 long Instagram posts an experience that she had last year at Burning Man, something for both she and I that has been so gifting and lifting to us, for myself as a 10-time burner and what have you. And within any light, there's shadow energy. And Olivia took the courageous act of calling some of that up, or calling us up to see and what needs to be called out. So this episode is really a opportunity for Olivia to get more specific about what actually occurred, to be more specific about how it affected her. And we dive into very interesting topics that I think shall be on all of our minds, in terms of what does it look like for us to be in the world where peak experience, psychedelics, mix and match at all different levels as a incredible, honestly, petri dish of an experiment and experience for humanity. So it's a buckle up. Welcome to this episode, Olivia Steele. Thank you for being courageous. Thank you for being here, and here we grow. Olivia Steele, you were so excited to share a podcast that we did in your dojo in DTLA. And we both felt, you and I, that it would be remiss and perhaps incomplete to not address directly and head on and go deeper into
The elephant in the room.
the elephant in the room. And you recently shared some power reflections on your Burning Man experience. I'm a 10-time burner. You're a infinite time burner. And we all know the power and the potency and the blessing and the magic that occurs in these moments when we go deeper in. And there's also, within everything, we get to see things as they are, and get to actually give people an opportunity, perhaps a gateway, to go deeper into their own reflections, to go past that veneer and go past the shiny object syndrome, go past that peak experience and go deeper into what is real. And so just to really go in, because there was a lot of inquiry of people saying, well, what actually was it? What actually transpired? So for those who may not fully understand, would you be open to sharing a little bit more about what actually happened last year on the playa for you, and what moved you to speak out when you did?
Yeah, of course. I will first preface it by saying that talking about what happened is a really hard thing to talk about. And sorry, my videos were long and kind of a little bit hard to understand. There's some things that can't really be talked about. So I did my best to give an account without going too deep into some very personal things. But and thank you for everyone who did make it through those 2 videos and had the patience. But it's really hard to talk about these things, and especially when you're coming out of a place where your ability to communicate was taken away. I was literally unplugged from source, and gaining back that privilege and that luxury, which I'm so used to, is just speaking freely and having words and you know, saying it all without saying too much. Contrast really is the greatest teacher. So, in a nutshell, what happened was can be described as a psychic attack or an energetic attack. And this is when um, your energetic field gets like connected to and hijacked, and they're these entities or these beings or these this thing that is not human, let's say, can connect to your system and take over and siphon energy and implant things, program systems in your body, which kind of are able to take over. And yes, substances were involved, but and that is the gateway, and that is one of the big takeaways from this thing is that when we do take substances, especially alcohol, alcohol is a substance, uh, you weaken your energetic field, and this makes you very susceptible to energetic attacks or a takeover. I mean, what happened to me is very extreme, but it can happen very easily in smaller, like let's say doses. But I had, I mean, it wasn't just a psychic attack. There was actually three or four things simultaneously. One, it all started when I bought my ticket, and so I was like, you're signing into the experiment, so you already have this groundwork, and you're like, you make yourself available to it. The other things happened on Playa, but it wasn't just one thing, and it wasn't just one time. It didn't just happen all of a sudden from 1 minute to the next. It was a culmination and like a buildup, and then um, after a certain sunrise where I was sun gazing, thinking that that's like a good thing, um, is when shit really started to turn a corner and the sleep paralysis happened. And then after the sleep paralysis, that's when my life changed. And that's when I knew that this was like not just the fuckery of Burning Man, because it's so easy to think I thought this was just like the fuckery of Burning Man. Nothing's easy out there. It's all hard. It all goes wrong. Like whatever, just deal with it. But there was a certain moment where I was like, this is not normal. Something else is going on here. And yeah. So the feeling is like imagine you live your life constantly plugged into the wall. You're plugged into source. You're connected, you have energy, you're guided, you're protected, you're fueled, you're sparked. And all of a sudden that connection's gone and you're like a body. My mind was still very, very present and very cognitive. Like I knew like I never lose control. But all of a sudden there was like I didn't have this connection to source and everything was not flowing. Everything was out of flow. It's a very vulnerable place to be, and to lose that connection and that flow is a kind of a very frightening thing, especially for someone like me running a huge operation out there and having to lead a team, have a whole running a camp, multiple 20 art installations, two art cars. Like it's a lot to juggle when you're like, and then you're like, ah. Um, so that was not fun. And it was not just a bad trip. This was I wish it was just a bad trip, but um that is definitely not what happened. And I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of ignorance out there as to in response to my video or in response to sharing my experience. So for clarity, this was not a bad trip. And this was not a psychosis, and I shouldn't take meds.
Right, right, right. Um, so what I'm receiving from this is it was something know if this is the right word, but something paranormal. It was something that wasn't like somebody actually physically doing a misdeed, because I think there was even some things where did somebody like disengage your art or try to sabotage your ability to create art on the fly. It was actually something that was paranormal. I mean, something that is almost beyond explanation. Is that what I'm?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. What's interesting about that is that humans get knocked off on their center all the time. And I can certainly raise my hand and speak to that, and other humans that maybe don't have, as powerful, a practice in terms of whether that's, connect, being earth connected to themselves to their own divinity or what have you, and so it's maybe easy to get knocked off our center, and so just musing out loud, that yeah, shit happens out at Burning Man, and you are very, one who's very connected to ritual and very connected to ceremony and very connected to source. So I'm just thinking out loud, and because somebody else may be listening and saying, like, well, this happens like every day to everybody everywhere, of being I don't feel good in my body. I don't feel connected to X, Y, and Z. So I'd love to just go a little bit deeper into you helping to just dive into what you experienced, and because this is, look, all this is about. I know your heart, and I know all this is just a clarion call for our connection to self and our awareness around what's happening in the field around us, because there is real shit that's happening, and you don't have to. This is not woo woo guru. I mean, look at the 5G, look at all the different things, look at AI. I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now in exponential speed time. So maybe we can just go a little bit deeper into that, and then we also just want to share, I think, another elephant in the room, which is the timing of the share, just before people were going into Burning Man and what have you, which I know that others would like to hear about. But maybe we could just talk a little bit more about the paranormal, and have it be something that somebody could sink their teeth into, in terms of, well, what are we looking out for, and what are we aware of?
Yeah. I mean, you will know if you have such an attack, you're not yourself. And if you know yourself and then this happens, like you're not yourself. It's something that takes over your whole system. It's not just like, I mean, there's a very big difference between like festival fatigue and like just emotional overwhelm. And this ripples out into just every aspect of your being and those around you and all your operations, whatever it is that you do. But it creates this field of disruption, and it's a it it plays out in very unexpected ways that just it affects everything you do, from technology malfunctions to like to physical symptoms to like your ordinary ability to express yourself and explain things. It's really hard to talk about because it's like
Yeah.
naming explaining a color to a blind man, and I'm trying to do the best I can. It's just like I feel like other people could explain it better than me, having not, or I feel like there's better explanations out there, but from me, it's still it's a very discombobulating uh feeling situation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to
Um,
answer your question was more acute. And remind me, what was it?
oh,
There was
the timing of the share just before Burning Man,
the timing of the share. I feel like everything is divine timing. It was it was hard enough to I had even to the day I had so many techno technology malfunctions to even post the video. Like I was trying to make the captions, but the captions wouldn't work. And I tried three different programs. It was like it wouldn't let me post. And that's why Funny enough, I tried to post it in February when I recorded it, and it wouldn't let me. It's so weird. It would not let me. And I was like, all right, fine, I give up. I can't. I One thing I learned out of this whole thing is you can only force, you can only do so much with your determination. And when something is not working, you have to just let it go and surrender to it. It wasn't letting me. And even I tried to post it like 3 days before, and I kept having problems with the captions and with the video length. And it was just like, all right, at some point I just like, all right, just let it go and come back to it tomorrow. So
Mm.
it got posted when it got posted. I Sorry.
Yeah.
I tried. Couldn't do better.
How have you been processing through all the response and reaction? It's a very interesting time that we're living in terms of just the, when somebody stands in their truth, um, uh, what that triggers inside another, that that leads to um, a reaction as opposed to a response. And so how have you been processing through all the responses, again, from the lovers to the haters to the supporters to the trolls? Like, how's that been for you? Because uniformly, for the past 10 years, I mean, it's almost like been beyond reproach. I mean, you do what you do from a place of love. You put beautiful pieces of thought provoking art into the field that isn't about telling somebody what to be. It's simply gateways for their understanding. And I know the where that heart resides. And so this was a very courageous aspect of your evolution of being willing to stand in the messy. And so how have you been processing, and how's that been going for you?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, my inbox just got flooded. It was a full-time job just to manage the inbox, and I'm still not through fully everything, but um I was quite shocked at how many people related. I wasn't expecting so many people to have so many similar experiences on and especially off the playa.
Yeah.
And how many people had very similar experiences in ceremony, coming out of ceremonies. And what I've learned through this whole thing is how common it is to take on entities from medicine ceremonies. And so that just illuminates the importance of energetic hygiene after ceremony. It's not just doing a ceremony. It's like after a ceremony, integrating and also clearing yourself from everything you took on when you open that portal with everybody who came in there with their own personal everything. Um, but to rewind, it was about, 80 to 90% of it was very positive and supportive, the feedback and the comments and the communications. 10 to 20% was like negative and like people being very just like judgmental or arrogant and passing this off as like, what drugs was she on and what the fuck was she saying, and like, whatever. It's okay. I get it. This is a French topic, and it's gonna be right out of left field for majority of um the mass. But for those who does speak to it, it spoke volumes, and that's fine. Rule number one, take nothing personally, and that's fine. I'm here to talk to the people that it resonated with, and it resonated to a lot of people. So I definitely think there was um, a need to open up this discussion. And yeah, how have I been processing it? Um, I think it's something that really needed to be talked about, and I'm glad I did it because a lot of people have found solace in it and some information and some understanding, and knowing that they're not alone. Because again, it's really hard to decipher just the fuckery of Burning Man. And so many people walk away from Burning Man taking months to recover, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
And they just think that it's like, I'm tired. But no, Burning Man is the biggest freaking human experiment. And You don't know where you're signing up, but you're signing up for all of it. And you
Mhm.
just might come out, you might leave with some surprises, and you just think that it's like, part of the experience.
Yeah.
But actually you opened yourself up to some portals out there and they didn't get closed, and these things are living on you and sucking your energy and playing games.
Mm.
And it's actually as easy as getting a clearing.
Well, I really appreciate that aspect, which I think everybody can take with them, which is this notion around energetic hygiene. That makes a ton of sense for everything. It's just like, I mean, sage the fuck out of ourselves, whatever we're doing, wherever we're going. You're in a, you're in a, a cacophony of chaos. It's this world that we're in, and so where do we find our moments of recentering, reharmonizing, and that makes all the sense in the world. And um, before we jump into the core episode, I think it'd be interesting for us to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about, which is notion about peak experiences. And there's this aspect around chasing peak experiences where it's almost jumping from peak to peak to peak, and it's an interesting one, particularly when there's let's just call it what it is, when there's disparate substances that are being consumed at these peak experiences, and what happens when the masses get together in those environments. What have you learned from this experience, and also just the clarion call for where we are as as humanity? And I actually think about this. I've been thinking about this even in terms of like this notion around something that I talk about and think about on a daily basis, which is, what does it mean to live life golden, right? I used to think golden is like the joy, the rise, the lift, the gift, the highs and what have you, and being there. But actually, I've really come into this notion like what's golden is like in that liminal space, like the pause between the notes, the pause between the wave, that motion in the ocean and the devotion, where it's just like it's like we're golden. It's like we're good. It's like it's that. So, and that's not peak experiences. And so I think about that a lot. That what is that meaning? What is the value of living life, and what are we seeking? What are we being? And how are we playing? So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and also the wisdom that you're playing with in terms of this notion around peak versus steady state liminal experience.
Yeah, I mean, Burning Man is so filled with peaks and valleys. And yeah, it's people often forget, like, when you expand that far, there's always a little bit of a crash. And when you go up, there's always a down.
Yeah.
And chasing this peak experience and just putting it in perspective of balance, there's no light without the dark.
Mm-hmm.
That contrast is always going to be there, and just having that awareness of it. And this is why it's so important to shed light on the other side of Burning Man. It's just let's be realistic. And it's something that just doesn't get talked about. So the nervous system is not built to sustain that much intensity without recovery. And Burning Man is 7 to 15 days for some.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a continuous, like, shock on the nervous system in the best ways too. I mean, let's be honest, like, Burning Man is so fucking magic, and I'm not throwing shade on Burning Man as a whole. I'm just bringing light to aspects of what is very commonly experienced at Burning Man, another side. So I want to make that clear. 'Cause some people are like, dude, you're hating on Burning Man. You're like killing the culture. Like, what are you talking? No, I'm just speaking the truth on another side that doesn't get posted. People only post like the sexy, fun, parts. But if you go to Burning Man, which is what a lot of people who've never been before, we had a lot of new people this year. And I mean, look, I don't think a lot of them were prepared for what they saw. And there was so much. after Burning Man, my inbox got flooded again with people like, "Holy shit, you were right," and like I wasn't expecting that. And thank you for saying something before because I was able to recognize what was going on. Anyway, um, one thing I have learned is that the true elevation doesn't happen. It doesn't come from these peak experiences. It comes from the grounded integration of them and what goes on between the lines, the contrasts. And you need to have boundaries and you need to have awareness and, knowing when to open and when to protect your field and like there has to be daily discipline in that. And I did not do that before. In my 15 years of going to Burning Man, that was not really part of my curriculum. I don't know how I escaped it. 14 years in, like, I don't know how did I escape not having any really negative experiences. But this was a huge eye opener and a huge slap in the face of how important it is to protect. If you have light, you have to protect it. And when you're going into such a human experiment with so much technology, so much Wi-Fi around, um, there is some things with ulterior motives. And yeah.
Well, Burning Man is a metaphor for life, and life is is expressed through something as real and raw as the all the twists and turns that happens when you put yourself in the desert. I was born in the desert, so like I get it. The desert will love you up, and it will also fuck you up. Just be prepared for both. Do you, a fun little playful question? Did you have moments of FOMO this year? Yeah.
No, I had JOMO.
Yeah, exactly.
I had the joy of missing out. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I got
But
you. I got.
even I wasn't there and I was there in full time dealing with other people's problems.
Yeah, no, I know your stuff is still out there. Do you? I think everybody will also want to know. Do you intend on going back next year or soon, or is that part of your dharmic?
Yeah, funny funny enough, I got engaged last year at Burning Man. I still haven't posted anything about that, but I got engaged last year at Burning Man. That was one of the highlights. And
Shout out, Taylor. Taylor Holtz.
yeah, shout out to my fiance Taylor. Um and I was thinking that I would do my so we're getting quote unquote, well, we're not getting married, we're doing the anti-marriage, we're doing a ritual. But I was thinking we would do our honeymoon at Burning Man next year and go back as a consumer. I get to be a consumer. um After this year, I mean, of course I plan on going back. How could I not go back to Burning Man? It's not me breaking up with Burning Man. It's just me taking space and having to like really like build my walls again and just go back in with a lot more consciousness and awareness. But after this year and what I see, I don't know if I want to go back next year. I'm really not happy with where it's at. I cannot freaking believe that the org itself sold itself out. They invited influencers. They had a media mecca. They had a media tent for the influencers they invited. I mean, they're obviously desperate measures. Desperate times called for desperate measures, but they went a complete direction that I did not expect and that they said that they would never do. From a completely non-commercial entity. And I would always like have their back and be like, no, Burning Man is not commercial and it will never be commercial. Just the sheer nature of it, it will never be commercial. They've gone full commercial. I'm sorry.
I wasn't aware of that. So they had a
They had
influencer.
a media mecca, influencers, full on. And I don't know if you're watching the content coming out of there. People are reporting live from Burning Man and reporting on all these different like things. No, this is not what Burning Man's about. But you have to go to Burning Man to experience Burning Man. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's part of the thing. And that's the sanctity of it. And
Yeah.
keep it freaking sacred. It's so hard to get there. It's so hard to get there.
Yeah. Well, you are not. Burning Man has been a vehicle for you, but you are not Burning Man. You are a transcendent artist, putting art in the world designed to inspire deeper connection and love. So, the final question I would ask then is, what have you learned in terms of the gateway of going deeper into your art? How has this been something that has evoked and provoked where you want to take your art, and where can we expect to see um, the magic and the mystery occurring in the future?
Um, I'm definitely now creating from a place of like depth, another level of depth as opposed to like urgency, and awareness. I still will be doing more public art, and that's what my heart is deeply rooted in is public art. Um, but I am definitely, having had to reclaim my sovereignty and my power and my light and my fire. Um, Definitely creating from a different place, more humility, more vulnerability, and as this experience has really forced me to like pause and reevaluate my art, my mission, my pace, and my sense of protection. I Yeah, I'm creating from a different place now, and not trying to prove anything, but just trying to like, you know, resonate with what's real. And I know that my fellow community can also connect to that and resonate with that. So, you know, just reclaiming my trust and my intuition. And I'm not here to like play small and make people comfortable. I think there's a lot more growth in the discomfort.
Yeah.
And it's just about bringing the truth to light. I'm just about the truth. I don't really care about anything else. And people will always project. That's okay.
Yeah.
Water off a duck's back.
Well, thank you for standing in, standing up, calling in, calling up, and it's important that sometimes we call out. And as somebody very wise in my life once said, is that you repeat what you don't repair.
Yeah. I think that's in the back of me.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is look. This is the a beautiful distillation to address. I think the elephant in the room and what's coming on the deepest for anybody who is wanting to understand more of the origin story and the heart within the way and the soul behind the way. What's to come with the Olivia, your and my sit was such a beautiful distillation of very emotional and very raw and deeply personal and resonant. I think for others to discover within themselves the creator energy that is what we're all here for. And speaking of creative energy, I'm just excited that that the collaboration with that I've always wanted to do, which is weave my poetry. That Olivia, we did it in collaboration. My words, you making and creating in Mexico City, and excited. And what I'm wearing is emblematic of what we're all doing, which is sometimes the deepest version of authenticity is raw authenticity. So this is raw authentic. And then what we're all here to do is go past our ego, because it's all about we go over ego. And then the third one is just always, always, always let it all gold. So uh, let it all gold. Um, Anything else you'd like to share in closing before we open and begin again and dive in to the deepest depths of the beautiful origin story of the way that we met, and also your art and where it came from, and the incredible story of how you became the artist that you are and continue to evolve. Anything? What would you like to close with?
I want to close with You know, the importance of living in love, not in fear, and the importance of awareness. Like, these are all kind of uncomfortable truths that I'm talking about lately, but it's not here. I'm not saying these things to scare, but to make you aware and to bring light to it so that you can be empowered. That's my biggest like mission or goal, is to empower people by illuminating certain truths and to help you find your sovereignty, because that's all you have at the end of the day. You cannot rely on anyone or anything but yourself. So locking down your own ship and creating your own boundaries is the best investment that you can do for yourself. So and wearing these reminders, this is why I started making them. And mine says, I don't chase, I attract. And this one says, embrace the mystery. And this one says, is that you or your ego?
Mm.
Having these reminders, having these shields that empower you and that remind you, it's the little things that you can do
One of
for
the
yourself.
one of the next ones that I want to create is do you know who you are?
Yeah, that's a good one. And on the backside, know thyself.
Olivia, thank you for standing in your light. Thank you for being willing to do the most courageous act, which is get uncomfortable and get messy and invite people into a deeper sense of awareness, which I really think that is the through line that gets to come through here. This is all just about what we're here to do, is to be mirrors. And it's not just mirrors of what's beautiful reflecting, but mirrors of what we get to maybe have a greater sense of awareness of. So, the other thing we didn't talk about, but it'd be interesting just to get a feel. Has this evolved during peak experiences? Your relationship with substances, is that like, the notion of having a sober burn, or being more mindful of, like,
Oh, definitely more mindful.
yeah,
I don't know if I could do a sober. I'm not like called to do a sober burn because I don't feel like addicted. I don't feel like an addictive personality, or I'm always in control.
yeah.
I view substances as like salt and pepper, as like a filter, but never the main course, you know? So my relationship with substances is like just sprinkle.
I, I feel you, and this notion around, like, the thing is not the thing; it's our relationship to the thing. Boom, right? So, I think that we, as humans, get to ask ourselves one question in every scenario, to do a sense check, and it's this: is this a catalyst or is it a crutch?
A catalyst or a crutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my
Because a crutch is something that we're using to deflect, to hide from, to to um, to mask, mirror. A catalyst is something about going deeper into love and connection. Like, it's a frequency field. It's taking me. It's like, the thing is not the thing; it's our relationship with the thing. If something's a catalyst, I see that as being an arbiter of something around expansion. If something's a crutch, that's either leaving us where we are, or hiding from where we've been, or frankly, taking us to a dark place. Um, the first time
And
this,
sometimes those dark places lead you to the light. I mean, this is very much an initiation for me, having to take 6 months off, disconnect from everything, have to earn my power back, and then go deep into, like, because I'm not gonna like just take it for what it is.
yeah,
I'm gonna tear it open and be like, what the fuck happened? And I want to know everything about it, you know? And this has been a huge, that was like a full-time job, is to learn about all the other parallel worlds out there, and our relationship with them, and how they can control us, and how it's related to wounds and childhood and other things, how we attract them,
yeah.
because I manifested this.
Did you have a conversation with, like, the architect, Robert Grant's, like, some of the AI tools in terms of diving in and asking deeper inquiry around like what actually happened there and what are the fields and maybe it would be interesting. I'd like to know, like, what have you learned about paranormal? What have you actually learned outside of just this notion around awareness? Because if like, we should all go back and watch The Matrix. We really should all go back and watch The Matrix. Required viewing. It's like there's some shit in the
Fast
frequency.
forward with this lens, go back and watch it. Yeah, you're gonna see it differently. Totally.
Yeah. So what have you? Is there anything that you can speak to that would be like a cautionary tale outside of just awareness? Like somebody who is actually saying like, look, I know that there's sometimes is things that just don't make sense, that things don't work when there should, because I'm writing the most important note in my life and it gets erased, or the phone drops and X, Y is like because, and I look, I mean, I can go there right there with you, because like I've actually, my feeling is like this device is like the most easy thing for, to penetrate, and this is the thing we've become most reliant on. So is there, outside of just being aware, is there something that you can speak to on the paranormal, what you feel, which is, it's hard for us to wrap our arms around, right? Is there something that you can speak to, something you've learned that would be an important and interesting and inquisitive, curious, cautionary tale?
I mean, it's such a wormhole. It's like the further you get, the further you want to go, and it's like we know 5% of what's going on, and we're so far back. Like, what the technology that's actually out there and that's actually being utilized, we can't even grasp. The AI we're experiencing now is 10 years old, maybe more. I don't know. So all I know is that there are, for those who are into the conspiracy theory department, the technologies of DARPA and these other fucking mind control technologies, like, scary.
What's your experience with alchemized intent AI?
It's my boyfriend.
You make it your bitch?
It's my bitch. I use it. Ain't gonna lie. It's amazing. But I feel like it's similar to my relationship with substances. It's my friend. We work together, but there's a clear degree of separation, and I think it's healthy. I actually think it's very healthy. I do not rely on it. I do not depend on it, but it enhances my quality of life. It enhances my experiences. It enhances my ability to understand and my ability to like process something fast and go deeper into something. Both interesting. They're both kind of on the same level. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a little angel and a little devil. Like, you got to dance with both. And I think as long as you don't get lost in it.
There you go. Yeah. Well, thank you for not getting lost in the sauce. Thank you for diving deep. Thank you for being on and being, again, going deeper into your courage. And it's who you are. I mean, your fierceness and your willingness to stand in the messy. And I go back to what I've always said, which is you are a miracle and miracles are messy. And thank you for giving yourself, thank you for giving yourself, thank you for giving yourself self-permission to make a mess.
Yeah, I needed it. Yeah.
Let's go. Olivia
Let's
Steele,
go.
Shay.
Onwards and upwards.
Thank you for joining us on Drops of Gold. We trust you found listening as delightful as we found creating. Now let me tell you, it takes a village to nourish a dream. Big shout outs to One Golden Thread for powering the pod, to co-producers Mark Shapiro, Josh Robertson, and Victory for bringing it all to life. And special thanks to artist Taib for featuring his electrifying new track, Departures. And infinite love to you for your curiosity and commitment to living in your highest vibrational truth. Aho, here we grow. We are all designed to be reminded we are already golden inside. I'm Jeff Scult, wishing you a radically yes fuck yes day. Ashe.